Is she lying or she's telling the truth? This is a crazy ass story of this female officer in the state of California, right? That she claims that an inmate made it into her control booth and took advantage of her. For those who've been incarcerated in California, might think, well, hold on, that doesn't make no sense, right? But we're gonna break it down and maybe give it some light. You know, there's a lot of things in her story that does not make sense, but that's her story, man, and we have to respect that. So, with this being said, man, don't forget to hit the like, the comment to push this video, man. And I want to tell you guys, thank you for the support. I'm very humble for that. So let's get to it. What is do, my Raza? Your boys coming through once again with a new video. Today's story is going to be the story of Officer Jackson. We're not going to put her name. We're not going to put her picture out there. Just to respect, right? Let's respect. If this story is legit, we want to put some respect on this. You know, even though her face is out there. But the thing about this is that this lady came out with this crazy ass story. Right now, she's suing the CDCR, man. The inmate that she's accusing of assaulting her got charged already. And I mean, it's insane. So let's just talk about this story, man. So apparently this happened in a lower level, right? Level 2, level 1. It was in Sierra Conservation Center. That is basically in Jamestown. So right here is basically where people who wants to go to the fire camp go for training. And once you pass the test, the physical that you need to pass, that's when they send you to the fire camp, right? So there was this inmate by the name of Robert Ransom Jr., right? Who arrived to this spot. He is a lifer. He's doing time for taking unaliving two females. So for those who don't know, man, California has changed the requirements to go to a lower level, right? I don't know if this fence is going to be a secure fence with electricity. I'm assuming that's what it's going to be, but I might be wrong. Who knows? So they changed the whole thing, right? Nowadays, if you are alive or even a LWAP, because before LWAPs were only allowed to stay on all level 4s. But now I know of people who have this LWAPs and they're on a lower level, like in the level 2. So now those guys are allowed to be on those places. Why? Because they have programmed for so much and they have done good, right? Stay out of trouble. So we have this inmate right here, right? Which his job is basically a porter. He's not gonna make it to the fire camp because he's a flight risk. He goes over there. There's no fence. He can just run away, right? So he's a porter. And for those who know what a porter is, basically, for those who don't know what a porter is basically maintaining the building. He's the one who cleans, who mops, cleans the showers, do everything that has to do in the building. There's like 4, 5, 6 positions into this job. So he has co-workers. It's not only him. So the story goes that this one inmate, right, hid inside a closed container, right? Usually when every so often, once every Thursday or whatever, they collect laundry, sent to the laundromat or whatever, and it gets returned within 2 days or something like that. Well, he hid right there. And apparently, he knocked on the door of the control booth, the bubble, the one inside. If this is like a 270, man, it's basically, I'm gonna put a picture right there. Is control booth, right? There's no access to it. They have to actually open the door from the inside so they can let you in, right? And this guy makes it in there, takes advantage of this female officer, and then eventually, after 4 hours, I guess the female officer convinced him of that she was gonna bring everything into prison, right? And she let the guy go back to his cell and lock it up, right? So if you were to think about this, right? Because it's 4 hours. If you're to think about this, is how can this be possible, right? So let's just get into it. If it's second and third watch, impossible. You have the floor cops right here. You got a lot of movement. You got people going in and out of the building. Impossible. There's no way. There's no way. You know? Now, if this had any type of truth, it had to happen first watch at night when everybody's supposed to be in their cells. There's no floor cops. It's only the tower. And the guy who's supposed to do counts every 3 hours, right? So they're claiming that this inmate had access to some kind of clothing that resembles the clothing of a SEAL, which I think is not true, but let's just go with that, man. Because they're hard on that. You know, make sure that nobody wears green, or if you're outside, you don't wear blue, you know, because you can be a risk. Excuse me. So let's say she was on first watch. Bar lock here comes 8:30, right? Bar lock at 8:30. No, 9. At 9. So everybody goes in. 8:45 goes in. Let's say this porter, inmate Robert Ransom, got inside the clothing cart. Everybody went inside the cell. I'm pretty sure, let's say, he has to have like a dummy in the cell, right? Because around when they're doing a bar lock, they're going to look inside the cell to make sure, you know, or they did count at 8:30 to make sure that everybody's in there, right? Everybody's in the cell. So that's when he's locking the bars. So he locked all the bars. The officer, the floor officer who's in that building, locked all the bars. He makes sure that everybody's in the cell. That's it. Now they go home. There's no floor officers. Eventually, the tower is going to work during first shift. Comes in at 9:30, something like that. Now the tower gets released. She rattles the door. The door opens from the outside, and then right there to the left is going to be the door to go to the control booth. Again, they have to press a button up there on the control booth so they can so that door can get unlocked. So it gets unlocked. The female officer goes up there, and the other officer eventually goes home. Now the female officer has all the cells locked with the bar lock, who's supposed to be on the bar lock, and now she's just chilling right there, making sure that everything's good with whatever they left her with. Now she probably gonna have letters. She's gonna go through letters, screen them a little bit, and that's it. That's her job, right? They do counts after then the bar lock, right? They do counts at midnight, and they do counts at 3 a.m. every 3 hours. That's usually how it goes. Every 3 hours. So the whole thing with 4 hours being somehow kidnapped is kind of way out, you know. It is. So let's just throw the 4 hours away. That's extra. It'll be too much because they're supposed to do count every 3 hours. So so let's say that all of a sudden, right? Whatever happened, let's say that here comes the midnight count, because she said that she thought that her relief was coming, and her relief is gonna come like at 5:30 in the morning. So the time has to be close to that, right? So at midnight, No, the inmate didn't decide to come out of that car. So they do the count at midnight, right? Again, they still say that he's in the cell. Officer goes out. They supposed to have that cage close in front of the one that divides the day room from the hallway or the rotunda, how we call it. Where you can see also there's like a window that you can see under the rotunda to see if somebody's right there, right? Supposed to be closed. So if that car, the clothing car was out there and that thing wasn't closed, yeah, I guess the inmate can go over there. But let's say that car was in the rotunda, right? For some reason. I don't know what, but it was right there. Now, the 12 a.m. count is done. The officer rattles thing, goes into every cell. Eventually, it sometimes takes longer, man, because he has to do all the buildings by himself. Goes to building 1, to 2, to 3, to 4, and that's how it goes. Then eventually he gets out. They open the door, he gets out, maybe talks a little bit to the cop, and gets out, do his thing. So let's say he did that. Then eventually this inmate decides to come out. Right after about that time, right? Maybe like 2 in the morning, right? That's more credible. She probably lost track of the time, whatever. So somebody rattles. No, there's a button. Somebody press that button, right? You might think like, okay, hold on. I never opened, nobody rattled that door. So I never opened that door that basically separates the outside into the building, right? The outside door. So right there and then should have been a warning, like, hold on, who's hitting my thing? Why would she open that door? But she did it. She did it. Apparently, to her story, she did it, right? The inmate goes in now. Now it's just her and the inmate. Everybody's asleep. There's no cops on the floor. And there's nobody, right? Usually, cops supposed to have an alarm with them at all times, right? It's a button. Those things always get triggered. I don't know where her alarm was, because that's one thing they're supposed to have. Now, apparently she didn't press the alarm. Now you have the inmate right there with her for whatever many hours. So he takes advantage of her, man. Right? Does all that crazy stuff. You know what I mean. Now, after doing all that stuff with her against her will, they're conversating. He's threatening her that he's gonna do this to her partners, to her kids, and stuff like that. So she's afraid, right? So I don't know why was this thrown in here, for maybe to make an excuse of what she did, or I don't know what it was, right? But she ended up convincing the guy that, oh, don't even trip, man. I'm gonna bring whatever you want from the streets, and it's all good. Now the inmate happy, right? He got his, plus he's gonna get stuff bringing from the streets. He goes by himself under the outside, right? Outside. He closed the door. And right there, instead of calling an alarm or doing something so they can get a boy right there, she said that he went inside his cell. Which, again, it does not make sense, because what? The bar lock is locked. How can he go inside his cell? Unless he was just hiding the whole time until the bar became unlocked. And that's when he decided to go into his cell. That's the only thing that makes different. That basically somebody who was doing the count at the time was coming in, and she was not saying nothing because he was probably in the bathroom with the gun and stuff like that. So it makes sense, you know, in a way. So can this be possible? Yes, it can be possible. You know, it can be possible. There's little things like ifs, and there's so much stuff that has to get into this, man. But again, these female, it's not like they have officers on the ground, and only First Watch this type of incident will be possible. You know, it is a crazy story. Man, we don't wish this upon nobody, man. For the inmate to be charged, there had to be evidence, right? So basically, there was intercourse. They had to get some example. They had to have something from the inmate to actually charge him with all this stuff. So something happened, right? And to be honest, let's just say that female officer was messing around with this inmate. I have seen in where lieutenants come into a building, pull out an inmate in the middle of the night, 2 in the morning, they just have conversation, right? Not in CDCR, but outside in the Arizona prisons, right? Why? Because they got a key. They don't need a control booth to open the door, so there's only the lieutenant, and she can do whatever, right? I've seen that. But now right here, they say she has a relationship with this guy, and she's trying to make all this thing up. She will not be able to open that door because those cells are locked. They're bar locked. So her story might have truth to it. You know? Straight up. Like I see it and it's possible. No, yes, they doing a count every so often, but the guy could be hidden in the bathroom with the gun. He can see outside, but you cannot see into the bathroom, which is all the way to the back on the booth, right? So she is in fear of her life. She's letting people go in and out. Eventually, once they come and do the bar lock at 3 in the morning or whatever time it is, sometimes they do at 5:30 or 3 in the morning, depending if somebody needs to get out of the building, man. It can happen, right? It can happen. So that's the thing, the whole thing of how the inmate made it in the cell. That's basically going to be like, so what happened? The bar lock got unlocked at 3 a.m., at 5 before the floor cops came in. Well, what time? It is an interesting story, man. We don't wish this upon nobody, man. The guy got charged with, and apparently this took place in last year. And now he's just being charged. She dropped the lawsuit. And hopefully, man, we don't take this out of context. Of course, I wish I can show pictures of this lady, but I'm not going to do it, man. I'm just going to have some respect for her because she's being a brave woman, man. She's putting her face out there and she's being brave 100%, man. I'm not going to take nothing from her. And do I believe her story? It's believable. It is believable if all those factors took place in that spot. Straight up. So with this being said, we are out. Hopefully you like this story. To next video. Gracias.